Hello, hello, welcome everyone. So good to see you guys. If you didn't download your workbook yet, make sure you do that now. I put that link in the chat for you. Okay, so we've got 3 hours we're going to be doing this. This is a long one, but I want you to know that it's going to be so impactful, so powerful. It's going to help set you up for the new year. And I went through this several years ago, as similar, and I've made some tweaks and things over the years. And my husband and I were just like, this was the most impactful planning workshop we had ever done. And so we decided we were going to start doing these in our own way and hope you guys enjoy this today. But I do want to say it's a good time to silence your cell phones because this is a process. We're going to be kind of everything we do today is going to build on itself. So you're going to want to stay for the full 3 hours. And I know looks like we still have a lot of people who haven't joined yet, so we have people popping in here in a little bit. But definitely try to stay focused, stay attention. We'll take some breaks. There's going to be times throughout this where you're going to be doing activities. And as you're doing that, if you get done with one, you need to go jump up and grab some water or use the restroom or something, you can do that as well. I will probably go on and off video a little bit just because I don't want to be a distraction to you guys. I want you to focus on what you're doing. So, there'll be times where I jump in and jump off if you're like, where did she go? Just so you know. And this is going to be like, this is all about you guys, right? This is about what are your goals? What is your vision? And taking you through this process is something that I feel privileged to be able to do with you. So we are going to dive in and get going with this. Everybody got the link for the workbook, got that downloaded or in front of you. It is a fillable link. So if you're like me and don't like to print things, you can just fill it right in on your computer. If you would rather have it in front of you, go ahead and take a minute to just go ahead and print that. If you haven't already. Awesome. Thanks, David. And David's in our positive intelligence program, and so we do PQ at reps every so often. So maybe we'll just jump in and do one, David, in the middle of all of this, so you can get your reps in today. Awesome, love that. And hopefully, you won't need one throughout this, as you'll be like, okay, I got this. So this is all about getting you set up and ready for the new year. So it is, as I said, important to do all the steps and make sure you're here with us to the end. You can also, just mute your lines now if you haven't already. And there'll be times where we can open up for some conversations, but feel free at any point to put things in the chat. Let us know where, I want this to be interactive in a sense that we're hearing like what is it that goals that you're setting? Where are you things? So let's jump right in. So my goal for you today is that you get a clear vision of what you want to achieve and not just achieve in the next year, but what do you really want for your life? Because too many times we're just looking at, okay, what's this next step? And we forget, like, does that next step really tie into our bigger vision? And then we're going to help you narrow this down and prioritize your goals for the next year. And I want you to leave here knowing the exact steps you need to take for the next 90 days. So we're going to go through this process, break it all down, and get to your exact next steps that you need. And I want to decrease the overwhelm that you may feel with a plan that gives you what you need to do to achieve these goals for yourself. So this workshop is designed to help you think bigger so you can see this bigger vision for yourself. We're going to set your goals for the next year, and then we will establish some of those actionable steps that you can take in the next 90 days to help you achieve those specific goals. And this is going to set you up for success as you kick off this new year. So I always like doing these in December. We just had a big, well, we had our marketing planning meeting this last Friday, and we have another planning meeting coming up um, for my husband's business and so my business. And so this is, I think taking this time and just setting aside the time to do this can save you so much time later. So you, in order to you should really understand, we've really designed this workshop so that you leave here with the exact steps that you need to take in the next week, the month, and the quarter, and to make that significant progress to reach your goals. And you first have to be able to visualize it in order to be able to design your own future. And you want to live the life by design and not by accident. And when you start to use your imagination, the results can be staggering. Imagination is where it all starts, right? We can visualize it, we can see it. And imagination is where you develop your career. It's where you build your relationship. It's where you design your business. And you've got to learn to use this powerful tool that we're going to be focusing in on today. Now, sometimes trying to do it on your own can be difficult. And that's why a workshop like this is really helpful. Because when you someone gives you the little coaching and helps you through the different areas and ideas and expands your way of thinking. So we will be thinking about what is possible for you and opening up your mind to think about the prospect of the future. You've probably heard some of this before, and I know this may not be your first time you're doing some of these exercises, but you are here and you've shown up, and that tells me that you want this, that you are ready to go after what you want, that you are ready to make this next year something that you commit to and make it happen. And just by showing up and committing to develop a plan for your year, you are miles ahead of so many other people. And I want to congratulate you for being here and showing up to design your future. And I'm excited for you because it's people like you that take action that can make big things happen. So are you ready to kick off this year with a solid plan to meet your goals? Let me know. You guys ready in the chat? So throughout this, like I said, I wanted to be interactive, type things in the chat so I know that you're working on things and that you're still with me. And if you have any questions, put them in the chat and we will get to them. It might not be right away as I try not to look at every comment as it comes in because I can get a little distracted, but I'll take some time throughout to review your comments and questions all along the way. So I see ready. Yes, it might not. Um, all right. Can't wait for this to see what some of the things are you guys have planned for this next year. So before we get in the exercises, I just want to quickly introduce myself for those of you who haven't met me yet. I know a lot of you here know me, but for those that are new to me, get my slides moving here. There we go. Um, so I am Tami Jaffe, and it's been my privilege to be here with you and to be leading you through this. I've made it my mission to help more people create their OMG moments in their lives. And those are the moments that excite you and scare you at the same time, those moments that we should live for, those moments that help you step outside of your comfort zone and get you to take the steps that you want in order to help you achieve your goals. I grew up on a farm in Michigan, and I decided that farming and the cold were not for me. So I got an accounting degree and moved south as soon as I could. And I spent 20 years in corporate where I held leadership roles in areas of things like finance and project management and client relations. And I finished my corporate career as the head of real estate technology for the third largest real estate investment management company in the world. And I have made several career transitions and know what it's like to make career pivots, but I learned how to do it successfully and always increase my income as I went along. And after realizing that, the politics involved with being a leader in the corporate career weren't for me, I decided that I wasn't willing to bend my values in ways that they wanted me to. I walked away from a multi-six-figure salary to start my own business because I knew that there was more to life than working another 20 years to help someone else fulfill their dream. And now I have the privilege of helping others do the same. And I'm also a wife to my amazingly supportive husband, who is a chiropractor. And he also goes through this workshop every year, as I mentioned, because there is a process that he and I do for our own businesses as part of our annual planning. And we have two beautiful girls who are now 11 and 13, who bring us a ton of joy and keep us always on our toes. And on one of our family trips, our oldest daughter, she called us, she's like, "Are we the traveling family?" Because we love taking trips and exploring new places. So travel is definitely one of my hobbies. And we live in Charlotte, North Carolina, and we love our city here too, but we love to get out and experience other areas. And because I love a good sunset, it's one of my favorite things, sunset, sunrises. You'll see some throughout this presentation just to give you a little inspiration as we go. Most of these were either taken by my husband, my sister, or my sister-in-law, who are all great photographers. And just wanted to give you a little bit about me as we get going, but the rest of this is all about you. So let's get started. For those of you joining, make sure you've got your workbook downloaded. The first few exercises we're going to do are about reflecting back on what you've already accomplished, what worked and what didn't work well for you. So go ahead and flip the cover, go to it's technically the second page, but it is numbered page 1 on the workbook. And let's go ahead and get started. So the first thing we're going to do is I want you to write down 10 things that you've accomplished already that you're proud of. It can be anything that you've done that makes you proud when you think back on your life. This isn't doesn't just have to be in the next last year. Something that's important to you. It doesn't have to be important to anyone else. Something that give yourself that credit for what you've already done. So, what are 10 things that make you smile when you think about the fact that you did them or you've accomplished that? It could be things like getting a degree, a promotion you received, a speech that you gave, a competition that you won, a big decision that you made, a transition that you did. I know you've done some pretty spectacular things. These don't have to be in the last year, like I said, they can be from any time in your life. So this should be easy to come up with 10 things, but I'll give you guys a couple minutes. You guys have your 10? Type in one or two of them in the chat so we can all celebrate with you. So one of the things that, I was proud of in my business was actually writing my book because I was not one of those people that says, I want to write a book. You go to those events and people are like, who here wants to write a book? And 90% of the room raises their hand. I was not one of those people. And it wasn't until I actually got really clear on what message I wanted to have that it started just rolling off easier for me. And but actually going and doing that was something I was proud of. See some of those things you guys are proud of. I know you guys have some amazing things, and we're going to see even more amazing things coming from each of you as we plan this out and set your attentions. We want to take a look at what we can learn from what happened to us in this last year, because if we can recognize where we're at, what is happening, it can help us as we move forward. So for this next exercise, I want you to think about what worked well for you over the last year. Were, were there goals that you met, and what were they? Were you able to make a change that worked out really well for you? And what are some of the things that you enjoy the most over the last year? Take a minute to just write those down in your workbook and post one of them in the chat for us as well. The little things are really everything. So give yourself credit and pat yourself on the back for the things that went right this last year. There's always something that went well, despite some of the hard things that you may have happened for you. And I know you have some things that went really well. So recognize it and so that you can do more of it. What were some of the things that moved the needle in an area you were focused on in this last year? Did you try a new morning routine that helped set you up for the day? Or did you build a stronger relationship with your spouse or partner, or get into a new relationship that's going well? Or did you accomplish something in your business? Did you use one of your skills or talents in a way that really made a difference? Cindy, I love you've transitioned away from your 32-year corporate career to a pause and working and explore more personal interests. I love that. And I can't wait to hear. We'll have to catch up about more of these personal interests you've been up to. And David, living in living room camping on the floor for about 2 months to take care of your dog. I remember you going through that and taking the opportunity to help a new family with their to the country get stuff for their kitchen. Awesome. Helping others always makes us feel like we're giving, and being able to do something for others can make a big impact. They're awesome things. You guys got what went really well. Change your eating habits, exercise routine, and release 20 pounds. Woo! Congratulations. Exciting. All right, but we also want to learn from our mistakes and things that didn't go well. So next, I want you to think about what didn't work well for you this last year. Did you have some goals or New Year's resolutions that you made last year that you didn't accomplish this last year? What kept you from achieving what you really wanted? What distractions got in the way? Why weren't you able to stay focused on that goal that you wanted? Or what's the story that you told yourself about that was holding you back in the last year? When you think back about all the areas of your life, your relationships, your career, your business, your finances, your health, what didn't go right in the last year for those areas? Putting these down because we really just want to let these go and learn how to do better from them, right? So take what serves you from each area, learn from it, leave the rest in the past. So I'll just give you a minute, I'll play some music so you guys can finish these on that first page there. Hope you guys got all of those. You can always come back and add more to these later, but I want to make sure that you at least have a few things listed out. So I always start by reflecting back because if you really want to make a significant progress in moving forward, you have to know what works and what doesn't work for you and what keeps you being stuck. So being aware of this is really kind of half the battle. But you also want to make sure that the greatest pull in your life is the pull to the future. So some people live in the past and let their life be continually pulled and influenced by the past. And yes, we must remember the past and review what has happened in the past to make it useful to invest in the future. But the key is to make sure that the greatest pull in our life is that pull to the future. And to do that, you must be able to dream about what your future will hold. You've got to have that big purpose and objective. And if these aren't very well planned, then they don't pull very hard. And that's when you have that tendency to be pulled to the past and pulled in different directions by events and circumstances. Make sure we've got, Kimberly, I see you just joined too. I just want to make sure you've got the workbook and everything in front of you. All right, awesome. You're talking about that pull, right? Because goals are like magnets. The more purposeful they are, the bigger they are, the more unique they are, the stronger they pull. And if you have excellent goals and big dreams, they will pull you through all kinds of down days and distractions. So now is the time to start to really design your future so that it pulls you forward like a magnet into the future to accomplish your goals. If you've got plenty of strong goals out there to attract you and pull you, it will pull you through some of the most difficult times. If you have a spectacular vision ahead of you of where you're going and what you're going to accomplish, getting through anything will be easier. So, learning how to set strong goals is an incredible experience. Once you learn this, it can transform your life forever. So, we want to start with creating a bigger vision for your life. If you go to the next page in your workbook, we're going to list out 50 things that you want in the next 10 years. So I know that sounds like a lot, but you're going to have a lot of times to do this. I'm going to walk you through this because if you can't imagine it, you can't create it. And playing a bigger game in our lives means creating a bigger vision for ourselves. We often get stuck in how am I going to do it without ever giving ourselves space for plotting out what it would take for our vision to expand even further than we believe it is possible. And so today we're going to go big. So go to page 2 if you haven't already and start listing out some of the things that you want to accomplish, things that you want to achieve, things that you want to do or see in the next 10 years. And I'm going to play a little music for you as we do this, but I'll also be giving you some things to think about in different areas that you might want to focus on while you're creating your bigger vision. So go ahead and start listing out things that come to your mind that you want to do or achieve. And don't worry about those columns over to the right. We will get to those later. Just start writing down what you envision doing, seeing, accomplishing in the next 10 years. And yes, Kimberly, we are recording. I know you missed the beginning of this, so I'll send you the replay after. You think about the age you are right now and how old you'll be in 10 years. Who do you want to become in the next 10 years? What do you want to achieve? What things do you need to do to become that person? all the different areas, whether they are family goals, personal goals, and business goals. Let's start with some personal goals that you may have. What places do you want to go? I love to travel, so for me, this is always a long list. So, what are some of the places you want to go? What other personal goals do you have? See the Disney cruise. Yeah, love that. Are there skills that you want to learn? Something new you want to try? Is there education that you want to get for yourself or for your kids if you have kids? This is our theme. I love that. Starting in Barcelona sounds awesome. What experiences do you want to have? Do you want to write a book, a song, or a poem? What do you want to write? Are you looking to get into a new relationship or maybe get out of one? You never know. Or improve a relationship that you have. You want to start a family or grow a family. You want to get a new wardrobe, start a new hobby. Let me see. Kim's going to start with bees. Because I have bees. And Sydney's going to launch her podcast. I love that. All right. What are some of your financial goals? Are there investments that you want to make? Are there debts you want to pay off? A house that you want to buy or a vacation home? David's going to move so he can get his own hot tub and a space for his books. Love it. Are there organizations that you want to give to, charities that you want to support? Do you want to start saving for something, a trip or kids' college or grandkids, or something that you really want to invest in? What are those financial goals that you have? What are your business or career goals like? How much do you want to be making? If you're working for someone else, are you seeking a promotion or a change in your career? If you have a business, how many clients, customers, or patients do you want to be serving? Who do you want to hire? Maybe you need an assistant or marketing specialist or some cleaners or a cook. The cook is on my list because even though my husband likes to cook, it would be so nice to just come home during the week and have some nice healthy meals made for us sometimes. Maybe you need to hire a coach or someone to help you. You want to create a new program. What are some of your other career and business goals?
Tammy, could I ask a quick question?
Yeah,
Okay, I'm sure you probably told us this whenever, with our PQ program. You were working in corporate America before you started your coaching business, right?
correct.
Okay. Were you How long did you do that before you like went out on your own?
Yeah, great question. So I was working full time for a full year well, I went through and got my coaching certification. And so it was about a year and a few months before I quit my corporate job.
Now, were you doing corporate though for like 20 years or something like that before
Oh,
you
yeah.
realized, hey, I want to do something else? Okay. Yeah,
Yeah.
that's what I'm
Yeah.
trying to figure out. Because like
Oh, yeah. I was in corporate for over 20 years and did a few different things throughout that time, but just got to a point where I felt like I had hit a glass ceiling and knew I wanted to do something different and help more people.
Yeah, I think one of my saboteurs with the controller and the sticklers, I guess especially maybe the stickler with perfectionism is like, you're not, you got to do this other stuff first while you're trying to get your business together. And I'm like, but I don't want to do that. I've been doing that for a
Mhm.
long time. So it's kind of finding like that middle ground, and not listening to that saboteur, telling it like Shirzad says, that's a lie. You're a liar.
Yeah, and we're going to get into some of this in a little bit too about timing and doing the right things at the right time. And so as we get into your specific goals for the next year and breaking that down, we can take a look at what does that look like? Because sometimes it's, if there's this need to have income coming in and your business isn't producing that yet, there has to be a timing where that crosses over, right? And being
Right,
able to
right.
set that goal. So,
All
okay.
right, cool. All right, thank you.
You're welcome. How are you guys doing? Let me know in the chat how many you have so far out of the 50. If you have more than 50, keep going, turn the paper over, write on the back, do whatever, you can grab another piece of paper. Um, we didn't talk about the health goals yet either. So what are your health goals? Do you want to lose some weight? Do you want to start doing yoga or running or some other form of exercise regularly? Maybe you've had some health issues that you've been avoiding or putting off that you need to address. What are those goals? 11 and 20. All right. We got some work to do here. To go back and think about all those areas. And so, what is it that's going to make you super excited to do over the next? I mean, this is 10 years, right? That's only 5 a year if you break it down that way. And I know you probably could, kids by now we would have like 9 pages filled up. And adults, we like have to pull it out of them. It's like, so don't judge things as you go. Just let it flow. What things would you like? Well, in this brief life that we have, we want to fill it up with things that fulfill us and others so that what is it for you that would do that for you? I think we all miss that energy being a kid. Don't judge the things. You don't have to have a whole plan worked out for it yet. These are just things that you've said. I would like to do this. I would like to go there. I would like to, you know, experience this thing. I'm going to give you guys a little more time and just play some music here for you. You can always come back and add to this later, but hopefully I've given you enough ideas to get your list going and get some more on there as you go through these different areas of your life. Just think about what do you want to achieve. So the next thing we're going to do is go through your list and put a mark in the columns that are labeled 1, 3, 5, or 10 based on when you think your item would fall into. So for each of these things, you're going to put a check mark next to either the 1, 3, 5, or 10. How many years do you need to achieve each of these goals? And don't overcomplicate it. Just go with your first instinct. When do you think you can accomplish that goal by? And once you have them all marked as either a 1, 3, 5, or 10, I want you to count up each column to see how many 1-year goals you have, 3-year goals, 5-year goals, and 10-year goals that you have. And when you have that number, type in the chat how many 1-year goals. So if you have, let's say, 10 1-year goals, 10 3-year goals, 10 5-year goals, and 20 10-year, just put 10, 10, 10, 20 in the chat. And some of you may not have any 10-year goals. And then you would need to go back and think about those longer term goals. This shows that you are more of a shorter term thinker and might need to think harder about the bigger vision and longer term goals. And some of you might be thinking more out into the future and not have many 1-year goals. And you might be more of a visionary and you need to go back and add more 1-year goals so that you have things to do now to check off your list every day. And they can be little goals and steps that help you get to that bigger long-term goal. So maybe you had as one of your goals to get $1 million in your business. I saw someone post and they want $1 million over the next 5 years. And that is a longer term goal for you. And you can break that into smaller goals and determine what you want to achieve this year. Right. So you might need to break some of those down, and that might help you get more items on your list too. And then I see some of you have like a lot of 1 to 3 year goals, but not a lot of long term goals. And so you might need to just think about, okay, what do I really want with a longer term? Or can I really achieve that many short-term goals, right? And are some of them really more a little bit longer term? And now I want you to go through your 1-year goals and I want you to pick out the 5 most important ones for the next year. Put a star next to it or bold it, and then you're going to take your top 5 and write them on page 4. Yes. Cindy's saying she clearly needs to be more realistic and prioritize. Here's all fall in the first 3 years. Yeah. So it may just be, or you may, I mean, some of it might be accomplishable. That's not, when you think about it, that's like 1 goal a month or 2 goals a month. But if they're bigger goals, we might need to break them out longer. Yeah. So in order to stay focused this year, we've got to prioritize those goals. So we're picking the top ones that you're going to focus on and start building out the plan for. So think about which goals that you crave the most right now. What do you want more of? What do you want to run away from or change this year? Those are the transition goals. These are the goals that are calling you to act on them right now. And if you had a financial goal that was 5 or 10 years down the road, then break that down into what your financial goal is for this year. Is especially if you own a business, you should have one of your goals knowing what you're going to be making over this next year. And then we're going to have some strategic goals to help you get there, right? Most people tend to overestimate what they can do in a day, a week, or even a year, but they underestimate what they can do in 10 years. So keep this in mind when you're looking at your top 1-year goals. All your goals are probably achievable, but your timing might just need some tweaking. So what is achievable in the next year and your top priorities that you want to focus on? I want you to think about your goals in terms of results that you want to get. So you guys have your top 5. You need a minute. I'll give you a minute to finalize those top 5 and then get them written onto the next page for you. things I always share with my clients is not getting caught up in the how you're going to do something. So many times we have an idea or say we want to do something, but immediately get caught up in the how, and then we shut down the desire. Some of you may have felt that as you like looked at one of your goals, it's just off, and maybe reason why you didn't write some goals down because you immediately shut them down. But a few years ago, I decided I was going to do retreats. And within 2 weeks, I had another coach call me and ask me if I'd co-facilitate a retreat in Italy. Now, how can I say no to that? I mean, right? It's Italy, and she was paying me to go over there to help her with a retreat. And then I was asked to facilitate a board retreat for an organization. And I also planned and had my very own first retreat. So when I set this goal to do retreats, all of a sudden, within a month, I had 3 retreats planned for that year. And this just shows how the power of the how, when we set our mind to doing something, it can show up in many ways. And the how isn't always what we were expecting. When I said I wanted to do retreats, I was thinking my own, and all of a sudden I had 2 other options as well for doing retreats. So don't get caught up in the how yet. Just focus on what you want to achieve and those results that you want. So everybody got their top 5? So the top 5 we're picking are the ones you want to achieve in the next year. So I want you to write down what it is about these goals that you selected that is important to you. Why do you want to achieve these goals? Because when the why gets stronger, the how gets easier. When people don't have strong, powerful goals, there isn't a pull to actually accomplish them. So get clear on why these are going to drive you and what makes them powerful goals for you. The purpose has to be stronger than the object. Going back to the example of wanting to make $1 million, if that was a goal, or you can find, fill that in with whatever number you have, then ask yourself, what are you going to do with it? Right? What do you want it for? What will making that $1 million, or whatever your number is, 100,000 could be, whatever your number is. Everybody's at different places. How will it change your life? Then you start getting into the details. The drama is really in the details. The price gets easy when the prize gets significant. So, what is the prize of getting to your goals? Self-motivation is priceless. And when you've got a strong purpose behind your goal, it will pull you towards it. So, take a minute here and write down why these goals, these top 5 that you picked, are important to you. And I'm going to let you think about it and fill it in for just a couple minutes. Are you clear on why these goals are important to you? Did any of you start answering this question and realize that you didn't have a strong enough reason? Just type me in the chat if that was you. Maybe you realized you should be focused on something else as it wasn't as important to you as what you thought when you started looking at this question. Or did one of your goals come out as a clear top runner because it had such a powerful why? Just give me a one in the chat if you like all of a sudden one of your goals just stood out and you felt the energy behind it and the excitement started to build up as you thought about it. That is the goal that you know is going to pull you into the future. That goal you want to focus on, right? You probably want to circle it. It had a lot of power behind it. There was a big reason. And this is important because do you know how often we have to sell ourselves on our goals? It's literally every day. Every day you have to sell yourself on your goals and re-engaging to it. And there are going to be so many different distractions that try to keep you from reaching your goals. And you have to have that strong desire to reach them and keep you focused. Try to avoid those obstacles or at least move past them quicker than you have in the past. Yeah. I see your comment about, most of them stem from fulfilling deferred dreams. And there's a reason that you've deferred them in the past. Other distractions have probably come up. You didn't have a strong enough pull to actually make them happen. And so or you didn't have a strategy. We're actually going to talk about all those things that have probably come up for you and why they haven't. We'll be talking about that in a little bit. Jim Rohn said, become a millionaire not for the $1 million, but for what it will make of you to achieve it. All your goals are there to make you stronger and better and challenge you. What's important is that the person you will become along the way. It's not about hitting the goal necessarily in certain circumstances, it's about who you become. The person that you are got you to where you are today is probably not the same person who's going to get you to where you want to go. In order for your goals to grow, you also have to grow. So the next question is a big one. Ask yourself, what person do I need to become to accomplish my list of goals? Maybe you need to reconsider some of the people you spend time with. You don't just join an easy crowd where the expectations are low and you will not grow. Go where you are challenged. Think about the people in your life. Do they challenge you? Are they going to be the ones that help you get to that next level in your life? Who do you need to become in order to accomplish these goals? This includes asking yourself, what do I need to give up? What do I need to leave behind? Do you need to stop binge watching shows? Do you need to get more structured with your days? Do you need to have more accountability? So keep writing, and I'm going to give you a couple more minutes to think about who do you really need to become in order to accomplish the goals that you want to achieve. Are you clear on who you need to become or what might need to change? Type in the chat one of the realizations that you may have had from these questions. What did you realize needs to change, or who do you need to become? Is there something you need to give up, or maybe something you need to do? I had you at binge watching. Good. So we're going to stop binge watching. I get it. There's times where, you need a little downtime, um, but that can become obsessive at times, right? All right. I hope you guys are clear. And I think this is such a big question and one that gets missed so often that we set a goal and we don't think about, okay, what needs to shift? What needs to change? How do I really set myself up for success? And now that you're clear on that, we can get into some action planning because a goal without a plan is just a wish, right? So it's time to take the top goals that you want to focus on this year, and we're going to break these down into your first quarter benchmarks. So you can create your monthly milestone and write out that action step that you need to take over the next 30, 60, 90 days that will get you on your way to achieving the goal. Yeah, the doom. Thanks for sharing that. The doom scrolling screen time, right, needs to change. That is, so easy, right? When you just pull something up to look at one thing and all of a sudden you're scrolling on and on. All right, so flip to your next page, and I want you to think about your top 5 goals. There's a page for each of your goals that we're going to break these down. Um, and so it was a 1 year goal. Do you need to break that down into a shorter quarter goal that we're going to focus on for the next 90 days? So, for instance, let's start with your income goal for your business owners to show you how you can break that down even further. If you set a goal to make 100,000 to replace, a past corporate income, then let's break that down into what you want over the next 90 days. Is your plan to make, an even 25 per quarter? Or if you're just starting out, you may need to gradually increase your monthly income each month. So you may want to start out with, let's say, 15,000 in your first quarter or about 5,000 per month, and then increase that to 25,000 the next quarter, and then 30,000 the last 2 quarters to get you to that $100,000 goal. Then once you know your monthly amount for the next 3 months, then think about the steps you need to meet those goals. How many clients, customers, patients do you need for each month? Write down your numbers so that you know exactly how many sales you need to close. So this first step is just really breaking down that annual goal into these quarterly benchmarks so that we can track where you are towards meeting that goal. I'm going to give you just a minute to look at those top 5 goals and break those down and put one on each of the 5 goal pages. You got your top five broken out into benchmarks for the first quarter. So I want you to then take these and think about in order to get to these goals. And so we were just talking about like for your income goal, you need so many new clients every month. What actions do you need to be doing? Do you need to be going to networking events, getting booked for speaking gigs, asking current clients for referrals? So what action steps do you need to take to reach your goal? So another example might be if you want to launch your business, you want to launch a new program in your business. Think about the exact steps that you need to take over that need to happen the next 30 days, 60 days, and 90 days. So, for instance, you need to develop an outline of the content for the program. You need to put together a sales page. You need to possibly hire a graphic designer or someone to create the documents. You need to develop your promotional package, which includes things like emails, social media, live videos, and so on. So, put together what that needs to be. You need to have a follow-up email sequence for people who sign up. So hopefully you kind of get the idea of how we want to break these down. I would list out the items and then we'll go back and kind of put the 30, 60, 90 days in there so that it's a little bit easier for you to sequence these. And some of you may not be exactly sure what the next steps are that you need to take. So your action might be to reach out to someone who has achieved that already in their business and or whatever the goal is you're trying to do and hire them or talk to them or to hire a coach to help get you through it. That might be your first action step. And then it'll become more clear once you talk to them or go through their program to list out the actions that you need to take. So, what are the first few things that you need to do, and what is the timing that you plan on doing it? And I'll use give me if any of you want to give me an example, I'm happy to work through another example for you. Um, Miss, I know Cindy mentioned she wants to do a podcast. And so some of the things in thinking about getting the podcast ready, right, is what is the launch plan? How are you going to promote it? Are you going to have guests on? What systems are you going to use? Some of these are like questions, right? But they're like figuring out the strategies that you're going to be using for that, what platforms you're going to put it on. There's lots of great AI tools that can help you automate some of the stuff now. And so determining which systems you're going to use, determining what your timing is going to be, set a deadline, and then working backwards from there. So are you going to pre-record? Are you going to have, um, what are you going to do once the podcast launches? So for instance, I have a show that we do on our YouTube channel. We bring on guests for our entrepreneurs creating OMG moments. So we have a pre-interview checklist, we have a post-interview checklist, and some of the things on those are like pre-interview is determining who the guests are going to be, what the topics are that we want, reaching out to the guests to get them booked. And then post-interview, we have a long list, but just to give you an example of a few things, but we're editing the videos, we're sending a thank you note to the guest, we're putting together promotional materials, creating clips from that, sending the person we interviewed the clips of the video so that they can promote. And so there's a whole process that goes around it. So getting ready to launch the podcast, you're like one of your tasks will be, what does that checklist look like for me, right? What does the pre-launch checklist look like? What does the post-launch checklist look like? What is my time frame? When do I want to achieve this by? Is that helpful? Yeah, okay. I'm going to give you guys some time, and I know we've been going for a good hour and a half as well. So if you need to get up and stretch and take a break, as well as you're going through this, we'll take, because you've got 5 of them here to work through. And so this is going to take a little time. I'm going to give you like 15 minutes to start on this, also take a little break. And when we come back, I will, happy to jump in and help answer a few more of these questions. We got some more things to do after this as well, that to help you really anchor these things in. So
months reevaluate?
Oh, sorry, was there a question?
Worth of goals, and then still reevaluate like every 90 days. I mean, what do you suggest? Does that make
Oh, sorry,
sense?
you were breaking up. Could you repeat the question?
Okay, yeah, sorry. Okay, so I was saying, with the 30, 60, 90 days, do you suggest, do you say like a, I mean, I guess a lot of times people say for 2025, for instance, I would set my goals or so, or maybe even at the end of every month, kind of reevaluating. What do you suggest with that?
Yeah, so sorry, you are still kind of going in and out. So I don't know if it's easier to type it in the chat. I think you were asking, looking at your 30-day action plan, and then I heard reevaluating that.
Right. Yeah, reevaluating.
Hey, sorry, Kim, your sound is not coming through properly. So if you
Like,
don't mind just typing in the chat what the question is, and I'll try to answer it that way. It's you must have a bad connection.
like there's some different courses I've taken where you would set your goals quarterly basically, but you do it.
Okay. I'm gonna go ahead and play some music, and I'll try to address that when we come back in a little bit. How's everybody doing? Getting getting your plan down? Is it coming together? Is there anyone who wants me to walk through a specific example? Do one more example. You guys, if somebody has one, you can raise your hand or post it, your question in the chat. Anyone get stuck on any of them, not knowing what some of the steps are they need to take or unsure about how to make it happen? You're all good. Everyone's rocking away with their goals, with their action steps. You guys feeling good about your action plans? You know what you need to do in order to start making progress towards a goal? You have too much to do in the next 30 days. I hear you. So maybe we need to break some of that down into what's realistic and what really needs to happen in the next 30 days, right? Is there a specific goal that all these are coming up for? And Cindy, if you want to unmute, you can. We can talk through it.
Hello.
Okay.
No, so what was happening was I know what I want to do in the next 30 or even 60 days, but
Mhm.
for each goal, it's a lot when you add them up together. And so I was thinking, like, even the podcast piece, I could do all the research and kind of get things prepared behind the scenes, but then pause for a while and do my 30 days for some other goal and then go back to it. I don't know. That's kind of what's I'm running into is like there's all this activity around each one that seems a little overwhelming, honestly.
So what's the timing of when you want to get your podcast launched?
Well, I thought it would be easier, but now that I'm making my list, it's probably going to need to be 90 days.
Okay. So 90 days from today or second quarter next year.
I would say second quarter next year.
Okay. So I mean that's definitely reasonable. And so I would look at like the first 30 days doing some of that pre-planning. The second 30 days is more of getting systems and processes in place.
Mhm.
And then the next 90 days would be pre-recording. So when you can break it down a little bit further like that, because it can go very quickly, like if you have the focus time. So even if you said, okay, I'm going to spend, you know, 6 hours a week
Mhm.
on the planning and prep. Now, what are the other goals that are conflicting and making you feel like it's not like there's too much?
Well, if I also want to build sort of like a mentoring consulting practice,
Mhm.
there's just a lot there to start networking and the similar things like what are going to be my contracts and some of the infrastructure that I would need to build that out.
Sure. So some of some of it, I think you may be making it overcomplicated in some ways because there's easier ways to
I
get
tend to do that.
there faster. Um, in the sense of a lot of those things, um, it's coming up with your packages and your pricing and what does that look like, and then having a contract. And you've had contracts for coaching. It's not going to be dramatically different, but there are going to be some differences. So I would look at, okay, if I dedicate, what's the time frame for having that launched?
It's very flexible. I
Okay.
mean, I could wait and do it in Q2 if I needed to.
Well, and I'm not saying you have to wait. I was just like priority wise, which one's going to be more beneficial for you? Like, what's the overarching goal for this next year?
Um,
Is
that's
there
a
a
great question.
is there an income goal that's driving some of this? Is there a
Yes and no. Like this is my pause year because I worked forever in my whole life.
yeah.
And so I'm trying to do things that are fun and satisfying as well as start to build back towards income. So I think just making that call as to when I want to start focusing on revenue generating activities
Mhm.
versus, the podcast sounds fun and creative and I get to talk to people and all those good things.
It is fun and creative, but it does not generate income right away.
I know.
It's a
It
long-term
does not.
strategy. And so there's because I felt the resistance when you said, when do I want to start making income again? And when there was like this a little bit of heaviness resistance that came up.
Yes,
And so that's part of getting over like, and I don't mean like getting over that. I mean understanding what you really want, right, in this next year. Do you need a little more vacay time before that
I think
happens?
so.
Are you ready for it? And there's no judgment. It's like, you can do what you want. Everybody has different plans. And that's the
Right.
fun part. And I remember when I left corporate, and I know we met through our coaching program. And it was one of our mutual friends, Julie, was telling me about how when you take kids out of school and you start homeschooling them, there's this process called unschooling.
Right.
And for every year in school, they want you to take a month off of school altogether. Like kids
Wow.
shouldn't have the school because they need that time to unschool. And we were talking about how it's a very similar process when you leave corporate. It's like there's
Mhm.
this
Unprogramming.
unemployifying, I don't know what you call it, that almost needs to happen because I felt the same thing after I left. Like I found myself resisting schedules and resisting putting like I'm like, how am I ever going to get clients if I don't want anyone to book a call on my calendar because I don't want them to like take up my time?
Exactly.
And I think you're probably still there. And so it's a couple things. One is being really clear on what you want your schedule to be and how you want it to look so that you
Mhm.
don't feel like it's a burden. And then also giving yourself that time to really have the downtime. And if, and a lot of people jump from one employee to entrepreneur and they're like, they have to make the money right away. And so there's this pressure to make it happen. And if you don't have that, that's a relief and a blessing where you have the ability to slowly ramp up. Um, the thing I loved about consulting is, consulting can happen very quickly and easy in some ways because you already have the relationships.
Mhm.
And it's, can be a very high income generating thing. I mean, my first consulting gig I did, which I was avoiding consulting too. I started off coaching and didn't do corporate consulting, I'll call it, because I do consulting for businesses. But on the corporate consulting side, I had kind of resisted that. And finally I had someone call me and they're like, Tami, we really need you. And this is what they're looking for. And we need you for this and blah, blah. And I was like, yeah, I'll consider it part-time. And the um, when they finally worked things out, the moment I got the $25,000 check as my like down payment to work for them, I was like, okay, that may be worth doing consulting, right? It's a very different level of being able to work with people. And so I take a look at where's the resistance coming from you? What is the real timing? What's gonna like the real timing in the sense of it does take time to ramp up. So how do you need to ramp up to get there? And what do you want that to look like? What would you feel good about your schedule to be? Right. So maybe it's a, part-time schedule as you start ramping back up again, and then you switch to more of a semi, and I'm going to say full-time, but I don't mean full-time consulting. I mean full-time in your business doing stuff, right? Because you get to set your hours and you get to set what that looks like. So what feels good for you? And then we can back into, okay, what really works within that schedule in order to hit these goals. Does that make sense?
Yeah, because that was something I had for kind of the theme across all of them is more time blocking. And
Mm.
you can achieve a lot more, obviously, when you partition off the time for
Yeah.
dedicated pieces, whether that's fun or exercise or, and the work progress.
Mm-hmm. And so I would take a look at the next 30 days and look at it in day blocks, right? So
Yeah,
what can I achieve in 8 hours? And if I were to block out a certain number of days, what would I want to achieve in those days? And then what do I need to then push off to the 60 to 90 days? Because you are also a very, as a parent with your 1 to 3 year goals versus the vision, the longer term goals. And so you're a very
right,
strategic, like now thinker. And so that probably is coming across too when you're setting your 30, 69 days. Now, you can achieve a lot of things in a month, right? And
right.
so it's really just about the amount of time you're going to dedicate to it and which goal is the highest priority for you right now.
Yeah, no, I think that's a great way to look at it. And I don't have to start in December because there's going to be Christmas and all those
Yeah.
things. So I think there's pieces I can do now and then really start in earnest in January, and I'll have a little more calendar time too.
Yes. And how can you make it fun for you? Because it's gonna, if you feel the burden start to build up, then it's not gonna be fun.
Right, right. Thank you.
You're welcome. Thanks for bringing up the questions because I know it probably helped others as they're thinking about theirs as well. So hopefully you guys kind of have a good sense of at least a few of your goals and the action plans on there. You can always take this and continue to work on it, continue to build on it. I will share an opportunity where you can talk to me as well after this to take a look at your goals. And I can't go through everyone's right now, but I want to like help you guys as you're going through these. So, all right, as we are going through this, I want to ask, what else came up for you guys as you went through this? Um, Cindy mentioned she had way too many things under that 30-day. Did anyone start to get a little anxious as they thought about what they needed to do to hit their goals? Or did anyone start to wonder how they were going to do it all themselves? Right? It felt like a lot. Or how you were going to implement it. Was anyone confused or not really sure what action steps they needed to take? And it's okay if you did. It just means that we need to go deeper into your goals and what the obstacles are for you for that is keeping you from achieving it, right? So we will dive into this a little more coming up as well. And so yes to all four. Yeah, and it's okay. That's what I want to say to you right now. It's okay. We're going to continue to work through this. We're going to continue to dive deeper. And if you need my support out of this, we'll talk about how you can get that as well. So next, we're going to talk about the obstacles that might be in your way in order to achieve these goals, right? The quote at the top of your workbook on the next page says, and I think I've just been forgetting to advance the slides here because I have too many things up on my screens here. Obstacles are those frightful things. Oops, actually, let me go back here. When we were on. So obstacles are the frightful things that you see when you take your eyes off your goals by Henry Ford. And I want you to ask what obstacles have been in your way. What obstacles do you need to overcome in order to hit your goals? You will see there is probably something keeping you from achieving this goal, especially if it is something you've been saying you want to do for a long time. And we heard that from some of you, right? There's are things that I've been putting off or things that just haven't been done that I've been saying for a while that I want to do. And is it a fear you have? Is there something standing in your way of achieving it? Is there a mindset shift that needs to happen? Do you need to get more clarity on how to do something? Do you need to hire someone to help you? Do you need to learn a new skill in order to achieve it? So, what are those obstacles that might be getting in your way that could stop you from getting to your goals? So, I want you to think about that for a minute. And we're on page 10, the overcoming obstacles. And I want you to just think about that for a minute. What obstacles do I need to overcome in order to hit these goals? So I'm going to give you a couple minutes to really think about that. Just know that anything new you're starting is going to have obstacles. So don't feel bad thinking that there's obstacles that might be in your way or things you need to overcome. The reason we do this exercise is so that we could address them up front, right? So if anyone wants to share their obstacles in the chat, feel free. We're here to support and recognize that we all have hurdles to overcome, and you're not alone in this, right? We all are going to have to overcome different hurdles. So, what is it for you? Do you need to hire someone? Is there a fear you need to face? Is there a mindset shift that needs to happen? Do you need to get more clarity on something? What is it that you're facing? Are you guys clear on what that is so that you can move through it faster? Because now we've identified it and we can resolve it. Right. And the next thing I want you to ask is, what actions do I need to take in order to overcome these obstacles? So, when you can identify the action that will help you overcome the obstacles, it is going to take you from being stuck and unsure to taking action and getting the help and support that you need. So, take a minute and just write down, what actions can you take to help you overcome these obstacles? And the last question on that page is asking yourself, who can you ask for help or hire or get guidance from? So when you can identify the person now, all you need to do is reach out, right? So if you don't know exactly who that person is by name yet, that's okay. Just write down the type of person that you need to find that could help you. Too many times we ask ourselves the questions of how can I do something, when you really need to be asking, who can help me with this? So when you find yourself asking how, switch to who. So I see some examples that come in. So lack of consistent sleep. So what are some actions you need to take in order to help you sleep better? Drink less caffeine, look at your diet, or is there something that's happening that's causing the inconsistent sleep? Is there you know, not setting good bedtime routine so that we don't have devices and things going, um, getting your dog sleep consistency. So someone else is, interrupting your sleep, which I understand. And so how can you, talk to a vet or someone? So that could be the who, right? Need to talk more with your network too. Yes. Reaching out and talking to people and using that network that you have. Yeah, see that from a couple of you needing to talk with more people. And I think, what do you need to do to overcome that? What's holding you back from calling somebody or from actually reaching out to the people who could help you with that? Or going to the networking event? Like, what are some of the things that are really holding you back from actually doing that? What actions can you take to help you overcome that? So maybe it's just committing to making X number of calls a week or sending X number of texts to people or going to, 2 networking events a month or whatever it is that's going to help you to overcome that, to be able to go out and talk to more people and start using your networks. And then I saw I need to get more realistic in how much time it takes for me to do things. And I think this is, that's a common thing that we see. And I mentioned it before, like people overestimate what they can do in a day, a week, a month, a year, right? We overestimate that, but we underestimate what we can do in 10 years typically. And so understanding what you can really do and being more realistic about it, blocking out those times, looking at how that can really help set you up for success. And David, I think you have my time management training with the bundle you got as well. So take a look at that and see how are you going to schedule out your day and your time. So that can help you to set that up. So the action might be go watch Tammy's time management training and then, see how you can schedule out your days to be more efficient. Sense? All right, you guys, you got the actions, you got the who can help you. And in order to shift your mindset and keep you focused on your goals, having daily manifestation practices is important. So Oprah Winfrey said that every time you state what you want or believe, you're the first person to hear it. It's a message to both you and others about what you think is possible. Don't put a ceiling on yourself. When I decided I wanted to leave my corporate job and start my business, I had a couple of things I would do. I had this mantra I would say every day. I am so happy and grateful now that I have quit my job and I am full-time in my business and get to work with incredible clients who are more than willing to pay me because their lives are being changed and they are excited for their futures. And I have been able to replace my income and love what I do every day. It was a mantra I would look at and say every single day. And hearing it, it's like you hear it first. It's resonating. It's feeling that this thing is happening, right? And I had also had set a goal that I wanted to hit for my bonus at work that year, which was far more than I had ever received before. But I knew that I was making a big contribution at work and I was about to make a huge leap and I needed to have some security for myself and my family. So I wrote a number down and I thought about it often. And I used it in my password to log into my work computer. And every time I entered my password, it was a reminder of that goal. And when the time came for our bonuses, my boss called me and the number that he gave me was the exact number I had written down, not $1 more or $1 less. And I couldn't believe it, but that is the power of manifestation. If I wanted a sign at that point that it was time for me to leave and start my business, this was it because I kept saying, if I get this number, I am going to leave and start my business. And that's exactly the number that came to me. So it's time to create your daily mantra. What is your biggest desire? Create a mantra that you will say every day. Include what it is that you desire and by when you want to achieve it. You can use the language that starts with, I am so happy and grateful now that, and then go into that goal you have achieved and how that has changed your life. So, what is that new daily mantra that you want to create? I am so happy and grateful now that what? What is that for you? I'm going to give you a minute to put that. I want you to put yours in the chat as well. You got your new mantras? All right, as people are typing in the chat, I also want you to take this mantra and open up your phone, and you're going to put it in, go to the daily reminders, go to your reminders for this, and put it in as a daily recurring reminder that comes up around the time that you get up. So set the time, well, around the time you're getting ready to start working. So I'll give you a little bit of time to get up and get dressed, but like what time are you typically starting to get to work? So that this pops up on your phone daily. And when it does, do not ignore it. Take a minute to read it, say it out loud while you are embodying that feeling of it already happening and how you will celebrate when it does. I love that. I'm so happy and grateful now that I can help others by sharing my story and guiding them in expressing theirs. Beautiful. This has to mean something to you, right? So going back to what does this mean for you? What is it going to do for you? So your new daily mantra is also going to be one of your new daily habits or activities that you're going to do, right? You're going to take this, you're going to put it in your phone, and that's going to be a new habit that you go and read that every day. And as you read it, feel that. Yeah, great question, Cindy. She's asking if you have the if you have the mantra for each goal or if you make it broader. You can do it either way. I've typically made it like my primary goal for that thing. But I've also had times where I've had multiple come out throughout the day. So I would have one that came up first thing in the morning, then I had one that came up around lunch, and then another one that came out like mid-afternoon. And like seeing each one pop up was just that like reminder throughout the day of those specific things. So one other thing that I did when I was starting to think about leaving my corporate job is that instead of moping and going into the office every morning, I decided to take that time on my walk from the parking garage to the office to envision what it would be like the day I gave my resignation. And so I'd start walking with a little bit of swagger, and I would be thinking about how good it would feel because it meant that I was now able to focus on my business full time and doing what I loved. And so I just got into this, like, I almost had this like song playing in my head, like this beat as I was like walking in. I'm thinking about, oh, I just turned in my resignation and this is what it feels like. And that was like a daily habit that I had to just get myself into a better state. Instead of moping into the office and thinking about, oh, I just don't really want to be here. I was thinking about what is it going to be like the day that I quit. And another time when I was a couple years into my business and I realized that I wasn't hitting my target, and I realized that so much of that was due to not wanting to do reach outs or follow-up calls. Because it felt salesy at that time and it was not something that I was good at yet. And so the new habit that I implemented at that point was I took 30 minutes every day just to do reach outs. And so a couple of you mentioned you need to use your network more, you need to talk to more people. That might be a new daily habit that you need to implement. So blocking out 30 minutes on your calendar just to do reach outs, follow-up calls, have discussions with people, creating that time in that space to actually do the thing you've been avoiding. So what is it for you? What's the new habit or activity that you want to implement on a daily basis to help you reach your biggest desires? I'll give you guys a minute to think about these. You guys got some new habits you're going to be implementing to help you reach your goals? The last item on that page is about accountability because accountability is the key to progress. And how will you hold yourself accountable to hit your goals? What will happen if you don't? Maybe you need to find an accountability partner. Maybe you need a coach to keep you on track, or maybe you need both. Most people let themselves down way easier than we will if they are checking in with somebody. It's so easy to let yourself down because we do it all the time. But when you have to check in with someone else and they're holding you responsible, you will work harder. You will meet your deadlines. So take a couple minutes to come up with your accountability plan. You got your accountability plan. How are you going to hold yourself accountable? Who might be able to help you with that? Right. Exactly. Accountability does not have to mean something you don't like to have. Absolutely. Accountability is a good thing. If you want to achieve something, sometimes we need that accountability to make it happen. So, as you've been reflecting on these goals and what obstacles you need to overcome, what you need to achieve, how you're going to hold yourself accountable, what word or words describe what you need to become or do to help you achieve these goals? So I want you to write down, and we have your word of the year. I actually sometimes I'll do 3 words for the year because one doesn't quite describe everything. So what words, like specific words, have come up for you that would reflect back on what you need to help yourself with to overcome those obstacles, to reach these goals? Is it consistency? Is it to get inspired? Is it to really hold yourself accountable? Is it, what is it for you? What's going to be those words that really help drive you? And you can write down these for your words of the year. And pop them in the chat. I want to hear your words. So you've got fun coming through a lot. That was actually one of my words this last year was I just wanted to have fun with the things that I did. I love the flourish, faith, focus, and fun. Faith, we're in apparently you guys had the same F themes. Faith, family, friends, recurring forward momentum. Yeah. And yes. So, and sometimes yes is the right word, and sometimes it's just no to the wrong opportunities and the wrong things so that you can stay focused. But being open to the possibilities, I love that. Um, yes, we all give it up. All right. Too much fun. All right, so you got your word of the year. How has this been for you guys so far? Good? Having fun? Getting some breakthroughs? So now is the time to do a little reflection. I want you to think about, throughout this day, as we're coming to an end here, I like to use this wrap up tool to help us summarize some of the ahas that they've had. So Jack Canfield said, people don't need more information. They need more aha moments. They need awareness. They need things that actually shift and change them. So I hope this workshop today has brought out some of those aha moments for you and awarenesses that you needed. Reflect back on these last couple of hours. We've been here, 2.5 hours. And what are the top breakthroughs or insights that you've had? I want you to go ahead and take a minute and write those down. See, yeah, it made it easy versus scary. Yes. And glad you guys have enjoyed this time. Awesome. Go ahead and write down your top five, aha moments or breakthroughs and things that you've realized as we've been going through this about your goals and what you need to do in order to achieve those. I'd love for you guys to share some of those ahas in the chat as well. Love that. So I have the power and the ability to make my life more fun, happier, better, and healthier. I've done more than I thought this year. It's a great realization, right? Sometimes we get down on ourselves thinking we haven't done as much. So it's a big aha. It is simple, actionable, strategic, and it reminded me that I am responsible for my success and I got to stay on top of things. Yeah, those are big ahas. Excellent. Thank you guys for sharing. And I also want you to think about what words are going to help you get back into that current action state of mind. We call these anchor words that remind you of that vision and your big why that you want. What words you can use to remind you of the excitement you feel around a specific goal, or a word that reminds you of a breakthrough that you've had. Right? And so some of you have already kind of put some of these words that may be similar to what you want to use here. Um, being strategic, making things more simple. What are those words that are going to help you get into that action state of mind, simplicity. Yeah, it might just be one step, right? I only need to take one step. Your eyes, I need to communicate more, my intentions, my why, who can help me and who I can help. Yes. Excellent. Because we want to bring you back to the state of that feeling of, yes, I can do this. This is achievable. This is why I want to do this. Breathe. Yeah. It's a good one. Yeah. Take some breaths. It's going to be okay. You can change direction and it's not wrong or a bad thing. That's absolutely true. If it's in the right direction, right? We just want to make sure we're going in the right direction based on what you want to achieve. And to really solidify how important these goals are to you, I want you to write down, what pain will you feel if you don't take action? How will this impact you if you don't hit your goal? Who will it affect? Okay. What negative impact will it have if you don't start taking action to hit your goals? We will do things to avoid pain faster than we will to get something new. So, understanding what you will lose or the pain you will feel if you don't achieve it, it can help drive you to make this happen. So, that question on there, I want you to think about, what pain will you feel if you do not take action? What I have found is that when someone isn't able to make a shift or achieve a goal that they really want, it's because of one of these five factors. And I talk about these, I call this my clarity trifecta that I talk about in my book. But the clarity is the first thing. They are not clear on what their goal is, what it really needs to be, or how to actually take the right steps to make it happen. And this can show up in a lack of focus because you really aren't clear on what you need to be doing. This can show up in having too many goals, or you end up trying to do too much all at once. And it's so important to be doing the right things at the right time. And not having clarity is like spinning like this windmill that I show here, this wind chime. You get some movement, but you end up spinning your wheels and going in circles instead of moving forward when you don't have clarity and you don't have the right direction. And the next thing is the commitment. They don't have a strong enough why or pull into the future that we talked about. And they get started on it, and then the distractions come along and they go off on another path because their commitment to the goal wasn't strong enough. And this can be, for some people, their commitment to living inside of their comfort zone and not wanting to do things differently, which leads us to the third factor, which is courage. They let the fear keep them stuck and they don't take the steps to see it through. And this can also show up as excuses, like things you've probably heard or maybe even said. I'm not ready. It's not the right time. I'm not good enough. I don't have enough money, time, experience, fill in the blank with whatever that excuse is. It takes too long. Finding the courage starts with one step at a time. So right now, go back and look at your 90-day action plan, and I want you to circle one action that you're going to take today. What is one action? I know you took a big step just coming to this workshop today, but what is one other thing that you can do today from your 30-day column that will be the one step that will get you moving? Then once you take that first step, you'll find the courage to take another step and then another step, and the momentum will start to build. Yeah, absolutely. We get to design the life we want. The goals are just there to help us. Yes. And the fourth factor I see is confidence. And this is the belief, confidence is the belief that you can actually do it. Your faith and belief in yourself. There are many confidence killers. Perfectionism is one of them. When you get so caught up in everything having to be perfect, you end up not making progress. Because very few things in life are perfect. And the first time you do anything, it's never perfect. You've got to be confident enough to know that it's okay to make mistakes. And when you do, you will figure out how to make it better the next time. This is how you get better and confidence continues to build. Expectations can also kill your confidence. When we have these fantasy expectations, it only brings disappointment. Be realistic and let go of how everything needs to play out, or just let some of it progress as it does naturally once you commit to the goal. Letting go of how, like we talked about earlier, right? And believing that the path will show up. And this last one is consistency. This is the other area that will keep you from achieving your goal. It takes consistency to start getting the momentum going. And once it starts going, it gets easier. Those first couple of months are hard to change a habit or do something differently. But once you've done it consistently, it becomes a habit. And then you do it without thinking about it. But during the first few months, you've got to find ways to stay on track and not get distracted. You have to take consistent actions towards your goals. Having accountability will help with this. Now, I'd love to go through everyone's goals on this webinar and, make sure that you've got all the right pieces and all the places to help you be successful this year. But I know we don't have the time to do that now, or we'd be here for days. So what I do want to do is give you the opportunity to talk to me individually after this workshop, and I will help you get even more specific with your 90-day plan and give you some additional tools that will help you reach those. So what we will do during this call, the different C's I have, okay, yep, and they're on the screen here too. So clarity, commitment, courage, confidence, and consistency. So I want to give you guys the opportunity to jump on a call with me, and I'm going to go through a few things with you. I want to review your vision, your goals to ensure they align with where you want to go long term. We will validate your 90-day plan so that it is solid and you feel like you are walking away with something that you can go implement right now. And we will expand on your action steps so that you don't have missing pieces, and that you can see the exact steps that it's going to take to help you achieve these goals. And we will clarify your why and your drive behind wanting to reach these. We'll make sure that you have that powerful pull into the future to meet these goals, that you don't get sidetracked by distractions. And we will identify any obstacles that might be in your way so that you can put a plan in place that helps remove those obstacles. And we will discuss how you can eliminate the distractions by taking a look at what else might get in your way and making a plan for that. This could also be some goals that don't really align with your longer term goals that you need to set aside for now. You see, I want to make sure that you are set up for success in this next year and you have a clear vision, your goals that excite you, and a plan that you will get going on your way to achieving it. Normally, I charge over $500 for these calls, and I had a very I had every intention going into this that I was going to be making an offer and giving you guys a disc, but I decided I had a reminder this week that about why I started my business and wanting to help more people, and how I really wanted to see more people be able to reach their vision and their dream even quicker so that they can live a more fulfilling life. So, for those of you who are ready to make this shift and hit these goals this year, I have opened up a few spots in the next week on my calendar to review your action plans. This is going to be a free call only available to you being here on this workshop, showing up, staying with me here to the end, and being here for yourself to set out your goals. Now, some of you are probably thinking, oh, I got this. I don't need another call. I'm completely clear on what I need to do now. And I know, I hear you. And that is what Mia thought before I talked to her. And we met after a workshop she did, and she had already sat down and figured out her goals and work for the year, and she had even done her budget and knew exactly what she needed to make. And she shared these with me, and after we got done talking, this is what she had to say. She said, Tammy gave me actionable steps, told me the exact people I needed to talk to, and gave me these exact numbers I needed to know in order to hit my goals. She even showed me how one of my goals was just going to be a distraction, and it wasn't the right time for me to start doing this one thing in my business yet. It was so eye-opening and pure gold. Now, Mia came into the call with a decent plan and action steps of what she needed to do. But after we talked, she had a plan that she called pure gold. She was about to start on something that was going to be a huge project for her business, but wasn't really going to make her money. But yet she had a goal of increasing her income that year by 4 times what she made in the prior year. And after I showed her how this one project wasn't going to help her get to this larger financial goal, she realized that the financial goal was more important to her right then, and she needed to put the other goal on hold. It just wasn't the right time for her based on where she was in her business to do. It's so important, right? To be doing the right things at the right time. And I want to make sure that you also don't have any of these distraction goals, and ensure that your plan is solid and I help you fill in the pieces that might be missing right now. So to schedule the call, you can just go to, and I'll put this in the chat for you. You can go to this link here, and I've opened up just a few spots this next week that you can grab one of those spots. And what we're going to do on this vision strategy call is review your vision, your goals, your action plans you set up during this workshop. And I will give you practical steps that you need to take to make sure you are on target to reach your goals. And we will make sure that you don't have any distractions or, those obstacles in your way, or help you see how we can overcome some of those obstacles. Too many people get the shiny object syndrome and want to try new things, but many times those aren't the things that you need to get to your goal faster. So that is something we will look at together during this call, and what makes the most sense for you right now based on your current situation and where you are starting from. Some of you have really big, lofty goals that you want to achieve this year, even in the next 90 days. And we want to take a look at what's really the reality, right? What is really possible? Is it achievable? And I'm not trying to say that you can't reach the goal, but what I will do for you on the call is to show you how you can break that goal down and figure out if it is practical and what steps it will take to make it happen. Others of you may have too many ideas and not sure where to go next, so I can help you come up with ones that are really going to move the needle for you. Now, some of you have had the same goal on your list for years and don't ever seem to accomplish them. And it could be because you don't have a practical plan, or it could just be that you are just so stuck in your comfort zone or trapped by the fears and excuses that you don't make any progress. Or you might be one of those who makes a little progress and then you have a setback that has you going in circles and constantly starting over again. If any of these describe you and you really want to get out of this pattern and finally make this goal a reality, then we will identify the one thing that is holding you back from achieving your dreams. It is a 30-minute call, to answer your question there. So we'll take 30 minutes and dive deep into this, and I'll have you send me your workbooks and everything ahead of time so I can take a look at them. But if you feel like, there's been something holding you back, this is where Sonia was when I met her. And she was stuck with some decisions that she needed to make, and she was too afraid to move forward. It had her stuck in fear. And she would make a little progress in her business and then get set back by her family concerns and just couldn't get any momentum. And after I worked with Sonia for just one session, this is what she had to say about how I was able to help her identify what was holding her back. She said, Tammy listens deeply and gets where you are like no one else. Where other coaches would each discern a different part of what held me back in a specific area of my life, she discerned them all, plus the big picture and how it was all connected. And after years of trying to figure this out with other coaches, she did it in one session. She followed with a healing that added an even stronger sense of clarity. Now I am making decisions faster and easier and building movement and momentum where there had been struggle and stagnation. So, as you can see, you don't have to keep struggling and not making progress. You don't have to keep wishing, because it's time to make those goals your reality. And I'm here to help you. So just click on the link and set up your vision strategy call. That you don't have to just leave this workshop with a list that you go put away and forget about, but you take the first action of having someone else review your plan to ensure it's achievable, that it is clear, and that you don't have anything in your way of making it a reality. I am really looking forward to seeing all of you and your goals, your action plans, and helping you ensure that this is your year to be successful and make it happen. Now, I normally charge $5.97 for these strategy sessions, but because you are here, you've made it to the end with me, and I really do want to see you succeed this year, I'm giving this to you for free. And you might be wondering why I would do that. And the truth is, there are two parts. One, I do really care and I want to help you get this right. And two, this is one way that I can show you the value that I provide as a coach. And if it feels right, you may decide to continue to work with me after your vision strategy call. Now, there is no obligation, and you can walk away from your strategy call with your solid action plan and go implement it totally on your own. And I will wish you the best and just be happy that you are even more clear on your next steps. Or you may realize that after we get your plan in place, that you need more support, direction, and accountability to make sure you reach those goals and decide to work with me. Either is totally fine. But I know that if you go now and set up your vision strategy call, it is going to get you even closer to having a clear plan that is practical and still exciting and pulls you into the future. So my schedule is updated, and you can just click on that link in the chat and schedule a time before they are all gone. And I just want to say thank you. I'm excited to see all you are going to achieve in this new year. Thank you for joining me today. And I wish you all happy holidays and happy New Year as we move into the new year. And just let me know if there's any additional questions. I love to hear these ahas, things you guys have had in here. It's been so fun being here with you. Um, you are so welcome for the thank you for the great sessions and the generous follow-up call. You are so welcome. I am so excited for you guys and to see where this lands you in the next year. Yes, Kimberly, I will see you at the next PQ coming up. Awesome. Awesome. I hope you all have a wonderful day. Thank you. I love y'all and happy holidays.